let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Sit Down with Malik Wright, presented by TWSN. As you guys know, what we've done for the last 4 years, we dive into free agency. We dive into all the latest and greatest news, all the happenings. Some years there's a lot to talk about. Some years not so much. This year falls right in the thick of things, I think. Right? There's a lot to discuss, not only from an NFL perspective, but also from a Cincinnati Bengals perspective. I'm back with my guys, Danielle Alameda, Logan Fulmer, excited to be here with you guys. Usually you're used to probably seeing Logan on the State of the Jungle show, but he'll be joining us for 3 days out of the 5-day free agency frenzy showdown. Let me be very, very clear, right? This is a little different from the State of the Jungle and other shows you watch. So this is the sit down, right, where we're going to be discussing all the breakdowns for the NFL free agency period, all the trades, our winners, our losers. Here on this channel, if this is your first time here, you get no filters, no hot take artists, just real conversation. So today we got a lot to get into because the NFL world is going crazy about some trades that took place, some big signings. Some teams think they may have found their franchise quarterback. Me, not so much. But boys, let's get into it. I first and foremost want to highlight some of the signings that took place today before we jump into obviously Bengals stuff and get our opinions on that. Mike Evans signs with the San Francisco 49ers, 3 years, $60 million. Wan'Dale Robinson signs with the Tennessee Titans, 4 years, $78 million, which I felt was the worst kept secret in all the National Football League. All you heard on NFL Combine Week was Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans, Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans. Travis Etienne lands with the New Orleans Saints for 4 years, $52 million. Tyler Linderbaum lands in Vegas, right? $81 million for 3 years. And Kenneth Walker lands with the Kansas City Chiefs. There's much more to get into. I want to get you guys' thoughts on those 4 signings. Who do you guys think made the best move for their team? Who are the winners out of that crop? Maybe you think all 4 of them are winners, but tell me why. Daniel, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'm excited for this. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year, and we're excited that you guys are here with us. Out of the group that you named, so it was Wan'Dale, Mike Evans, and then the other 2 I completely forgot. Etienne. I don't know if we're doing winners and losers, but to be honest with you, I think a loser – I'm not a big fan of the ETN move, and this is me getting the loser out of this because the rest of these moves, and that we'll discuss, I like a lot of the moves that happen. I just felt like it was a little much for ETN, and it was a little much for the Saints, right? And I think that the Saints approached this free agency a little bit differently, and they came into this offseason bottom 3 in cap, and they're going out and they're spending money. So I like what they're trying to do. It just doesn't move the needle for me. I think this is another offseason for the Saints that just kind of kicks the can along, and they think that they got the franchise guy in Tyler Shuck. I'm curious to see what they do in the draft, but for me, this just didn't really do that much for me when it comes to Travis Etienne. I thought it was a little bit much when the contract, as well as what does that mean for Alvin Kamara? That's one of the biggest questions that was posed from this entire free agency was that, are they going to trade Alvin Kamara? Are they going to release him? Is he retiring? There's a lot of questions that brings. But for me, I'm just starting off with probably one of the biggest weird ones for me, and that was Alvin Kamara. I mean, it was the Travis Etienne.
Yeah. To kind of touch on, like Malik said, like kind of the worst kept secret. I think everybody kind of saw this Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans thing coming. And, you know, I think that kind of allowed it not to get, I don't want to say the hype it deserves, but I really, really like the fit with Tennessee. I mean, you look at Cam Ward's collegiate career at Miami. He loves the slot. He loves Xavier Restrepo. That's why they brought him in. It's because it's that connection to the slot. And they didn't really have that guy last year. You know, when you're trying to build around your franchise quarterback, you're trying to find things that fit his game. And we know he can attack vertically. I mean, I don't want to say as good as anybody, but we all know the kind of arm he has, and he can do that with Shamiri DK and I like Io Manor and some of the other guys they'll probably end up targeting. But they didn't really have that slot chain moving yak guy really anywhere to be found. And I think giving Cam Ward that comfortability in that underneath guy and Wan'Dale Robinson was a very smart thing. If we want to debate the contract and everything, I don't think it was a bad deal. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't want to say is the greatest receiver in the world, but he is a good slot receiver. I think that is an important addition to what Cam Ward needed to take his continue to progress his game. I like the fit there a lot. I'm interested to see what else. I mean, they're doing a ton on the defensive side of the ball, but what else
We'll
they
talk
do
about
on
that.
the offensive side of the ball to help Cam Ward in the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously they got Daniel Bellinger. I think one of the themes as well as today was connections, right? Connections seem to be everything. Brian Dable was there. They went out, got Wan'Dale. They went out, they got Daniel Bellinger. I think
Flott, too.
Got
bunch of
Cordell
giants.
Flott. When you are a team that has the money to spend, like the New England Patriots did last year, like the Chicago Bears did last year, you got to go out and spend it. And I think that they're doing the right job. I agree with you. I love what they're doing on defense. These moves on offense were just kind of place setters, right? Wan'Dale Robinson is a place setter. It's nice for Cam Ward. They went out, they got Cordell Volson for the back of offensive line. I thought that move was good. And I think you brought up Tyler Linderbaum, right? The Raiders.
Oof.
That was a big one. And same thing, the Raiders, most cap space in the NFL. And if you're a team with a new head coach, Clint Kubiak, you just trade away Max Crosby. You got a crap ton of cap. You got to go spend it. And I think that probably one of the best free agents, if not the best young, guy that is just a pure stud, Linderbaum as the center position. I was very happy that they went out and got that, because with the new quarterbacks, potentially Fernando Mendoza, I think you have to build the trenches or else he may not look as good as he could be.
Yeah, I really like Linderbaum in general. It's just their offensive line hasn't been great. It's been great. It's a lot of flashes. But again, now you got Jackson Powers-Johnson, Tyler Linderbaum, Colton Miller, some early picks. They got a lot to work with now in Las Vegas. And again, it's a lot of money for a center, but Tyler Linderbaum is honestly probably just that good. He's a super good player. I love what they're doing with their young quarterback. They're doing a lot of good things there. They really just have to fill out their roster first and foremost, and that's what they've done. So, I'm interested to see how they now attack the draft.
I'm happy we're having this discussion. Before I jump in and give you guys all my takes and my opinions on some stuff before we continue to move down the list and talk about some of the NFL free agent signings, I do want to know what your favorite teams are. So if you guys could do me a huge favor, I guess we have a huge Bengals presence, obviously, in the chat today. But if you guys could do me a huge favor, let me know down in the comment section who you're a fan of, all right? Whether you're a fan of the Falcons, the Niners, the Chiefs, or somebody else. Not only did that, I also want to see who you guys think has won NFL free agency day one to start. So please drop down in the comment section if you're coming from Bengals, if you're a Bengals fan, or if you're coming from somewhere else, please drop down. I want to talk about Jalen Phillips to the Carolina Panthers. Seeing this come down the pipeline, it felt like a massive overpay, to be honest with you. It felt like a massive, massive, massive overpay for a lot of reasons, mainly because of the injuries. However, good on Jalen Phillips for getting the contract, right, that everybody was asking, wondering if he would get. Another move that I expected, but still, the way it was broadcast and the way it was sort of presented, I would say Malik Willis, the Miami Dolphins, that was an interesting one. You also obviously had a couple of other moves. John Franklin Myers, Tennessee Titans. Now, the Bengals dealt in those waters, guys. I know there were some folks out there that didn't like the way that I just simply quote tweeted and said truth, but it was the truth. The Bengals were in on John Franklin Myers. Or people say, Malik, you don't do your gifts anymore. Or you're just piggybacking on somebody else. Go look at my retweets from last night, right? Again, it's not all in gifts, but sometimes it could be in a little bit of a little bit of Easter egg hunting and stuff like that. The Bengals were definitely in the John Franklin Myers waters. Can I be honest with you? Because I think sometimes people think when I say things, guys, is what I want the Bengals to do. I did not want the Bengals to sign John Franklin Myers. I'm sorry. I might be in the bottom of the totem pole with that thought process. I just didn't see the allure of signing a 29-year-old pass rusher. I get it. He was the best on the market, so therefore he was going to command a lot. But to me, I'm happy that they were priced out of the range of the John Franklin Myers thing. And if to me, what it sounded like, it didn't sound like he came down to the final two either when it came to that. But anyway, there were some other moves that obviously happened. Arden Key back with the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Bellinger to the Tennessee Titans. We saw Michael Pittman Jr. get traded in division to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know Daniel probably feels strongly about that move. So now you have a tandem of DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. Daniel, what were your thoughts on the trade for Michael Pittman Jr. by the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Absolutely love it.
And the extension.
Absolutely love it.
Million, yep.
I think this was a fantastic move. And the reason why I say that is you don't have to go into the draft and everybody's mocking guys like Denzel Boston, you don't have to go into the draft with a major need at wide receiver. You don't have to say, I have to fill that. Now you can go and play with house money if you want in the draft. You can go get Casey Concepcion, and now you got DK Concepcion and Michael Pittman Jr. For me, this is a massive buy low spot. Michael Pittman Jr. the past 2 years, this past year specifically, he was bad numbers wise. It was bad. And the reason why is the quarterback situation. The quarterback, not good last year. And when Phillip Rivers was in, wasn't very good. So Pittman Jr. went from making 24 million or 29 million this season with Colts to now he gets 3 years, 50 something million. Yeah. That is not a bad deal at all. You see guys like Alec Pierce just went out and broke the bank. Ooh. T. Higgins last year. You get Michael Pittman Jr., who was the first guy to get the big contract before T. Higgins, and now you get him on a bargain. This guy is a former top end prospect. I was a big fan of him. He has the skills to be an elite wide receiver, and you're putting him in as a wide receiver too. I'm a major fan of it. And now, like I said, you got 2 big body X receivers. That is scary for opposing defense. So I was very, very happy for the Steelers. I think that's a phenomenal move. And all you give up is a pick swap, late round pick swap, and you give a guy $20-something million. All right, I'm cool with that. So I was very, very impressed with that move, and I thought the Steelers hit that out of the park.
Yeah. Just quickly, I like any move that really opens things up for teams in the draft. And I think that's exactly what this move does for Pittsburgh. Nothing crazy, solid player, not on high on him as Daniel is, but he's an upgrade for the Steelers. And that's really all you can ask for at this point. It really opens up the draft for them. And like I said, anytime that happens, I think you should be a fan of the move.
Some other moves that took place today, and I think all of you guys made some great points. Tua Tagovailoa lands after being released this morning by the Miami Dolphins. He lands with the Atlanta Falcons. What were you guys' thoughts on that move? There are some people in Atlanta that are scratching their head. They don't know what to think. They don't know where they're going. To me, this puts me on high alert already with the Kevin Stefanski hire in Atlanta, because to me it makes me wonder, do you actually know what you're doing? Right? Because to me, what was it about Tua Tagovailoa's game that you said, Mike McDaniel couldn't get the most out of, but I could get the most out of, especially with these weapons? To me, though, it creates a lot of question. You have probably the biggest question mark quarterback room in the National Football League with Michael Pittman Jr., because what is that signaling to your young signal caller as well? Is he automatically not your guy moving forward? To me, I walk away from the Atlanta Falcons with more questions than I would say answers. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is a great move. And the reason why I say that is this is something where it is tough. And if I were in the shoes of their new GM, because first thing is new regimes always, or let's say 75% of the time, change signal callers, everything with a new GM and a new head coach. A lot of times they just bring in their new guys. So for me, I thought this was a good move because, number one, it is a 1-year contract, likely to be a veteran minimum, I'm guessing. Yeah. And when I look at the situation, if I'm a new GM, I'm not putting all my money behind Michael Penix.
Excuse me, did you just say a veteran minimum?
That's NBA, isn't it?
Oh, no, it was just funny hearing you say veteran minimum. It just sounded like
I thought it said minimum.
It sounded like a joke, but it's fine.
He's stupid.
It's fine.
He's stupid. I think that, this is I'm happy with this, man. And the reason why I say that, like I said, I don't think it's smart to head into the season if you're the Falcons, putting all your eggs in the Michael Penix Jr. basket. First off, he's coming off a major injury. The guy has had a major injury in 4 of his past 5 seasons. And I think that this is a move that you can't get elsewhere, right? Michael Penix Jr., something that's not talked about enough, is a lefty. And it's not important just for him. It's for your wide receivers. It's for your offensive line. It's for your entire offense. If you have a lefty versus a righty, a lot of times, I'm sure you could test, wide receivers are catching the ball completely different from a righty versus a lefty. So I think it allows continuity in practice, as well as the worst case scenario. If Penix Jr. isn't ready, you have a lefty. And if he is ready and he's not good, then you have a guy in Tua for a minimum that you can potentially, I could see a future where he's their quarterback for the next couple seasons. So I think it's good insurance.
Someone needs to figure out your love for Tua Tagovailoa, because I don't know. You've had an affinity for this guy for the past 5 years.
He's a good backup quarterback, and nobody.
Okay, you said it, but you just said before he could be their starter.
I think he can come in. I think right now, if you compare the two, I think he can win games with the Falcons. I think that, and it's the same thing. At the end of the day, it's head coach and quarterback. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, I think, is going to love the lefty like Dylan Gabriel. So But at the end of the day, two of them might just be trash.
I have a question.
So.
Can anybody, does any head coach, play caller, I'm sorry, whatever you want to call Kevin Stefanski, does anybody kill a young quarterback's confidence quite like him to start? Does anybody do it better than Kevin Stefanski, right? Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Got to think Michael Pittman Jr., you're batting pretty high when it comes to killing these guys' confidence right off the bat. Listen, I don't want to bag on the guy too much because this is a former two-time coach of the year. Get that. Still have questions. Still have a lot of question marks when it comes to, okay, what's the thought process? What's your thought process when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa moving forward? There were some other signings that happened. I just want to touch on them before we jump into our Bengals news. And if you guys like the stream, you guys like the show, you guys enjoyed it, do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or upload content. This is the
Rico Dowdle Steelers.
Rico Dowdle signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers making good moves, right? Making good moves. Okay. So Rico Dowdle signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good signing. He was a red zone. He was a huge red zone threat for the Carolina Panthers last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
he was a beast for them.
I think couple good games.
Yeah. Tremaine Edmonds signs with the New York Giants after getting released by the Bears. Kobe Bryant, he signs with the Chicago Bears. Eric Stokes signs with the Raiders, and John Simpson helps bolster the offensive line of the Ravens after they lose Tyler Linderbaum, even though he plays guard, and he signs with the Baltimore Ravens. Very, very good signings. There were a couple of contract, I would say, adjustments that took place. Nothing really too crazy to note or talk too much about, but Sante Samuel signs back with the Steelers. Terrence Steele contract structure with the Dallas Cowboys. Alex Pierce is back in Indy after much deliberation. Laramie Tunsil signs an extension with the Washington Commanders, so on and so forth. Boys, I want to talk about Bengals, though, okay? Can we talk about Bengals?
Yep.
Let's talk about Bengals, okay? So the Cincinnati Bengals lose Joseph Osai. Joseph Osai signs with the New York Jets, gets a big contract, 3-year deal, worth roughly around $36 million. They then lose Cordell Volson, who was their former starting guard, regulated to a backup role, but was injured this year to the Tennessee Titans. Trey Hendrickson is still out there. Geno Stone still searching for a home. Cam Taylor-Britt, who knows? Jake Browning not coming back. Listen, that's the rundown. Bengals hope to bring back Joe Flacco potentially. I know that the Bengals have some interest in Leo Chenal. Know the Bengals have some potential interest in Devin Lloyd. Don't know any information further than that, but I do want to touch on the moves the Bengals did make today. Namely, the Bengals went out and signed defensive end Boye Mafe. Daniel and I spent the better part of an hour and a half last night watching Boye Mafe. Could you guess why? Boye Mafe signs with the Cincinnati Bengals in a reminiscent move that the Bengals hope can bolster their pass rush. He left a lot to be desired in terms of the stat line, if you will. Only 2 sacks last year. However, the guy is a game wrecker. The guy is a little bit of a problem. The guy is a guy that can get in the backfield. He usually wins on his second move, not his first move. To me, there's a lot of thinking out there. I like Boye Mafe in spots, but he leaves a lot. I'm just being honest. He leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the finishing ability, but is he going to be a guy that's going to be able to wreak havoc? I think Boye Mafe could be this guy. If you look very, very carefully, Dan's going to explain a little bit more. It's very clear what the Bengals were trying to do. They are trying to essentially, hey, you know what? We're going to go out there. We're going to recreate the magic that we had when we went out there and we signed Trey Hendrickson. I know there's people with some thoughts on the Bengals defensive tackle situation, but I want to let Daniel touch on the Boye Mafe thing just a tad bit more. We've done extensive work on Boye Mafe and the other signing that the Cincinnati Bengals made, which I told you guys they were going to sign and they were going to make, and they actually winded up going out there and do it. Daniel, talk to me. Boye Mafe, sell me on it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can sell you on it for sure. I think where I want to start, though, is it's clear what the Bengals are trying to do, right? It's the avenue that they did with Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson spent 4 years with the New Orleans Saints, and after he had a major season, they went out and they capitalized. But he was still a little underrated because everybody was saying, oh, he's on a great defense, right? Great interior. Cameron Jordan's on the other side. He's not doing the work for himself. And it's kind of the same thing. Boye Mafe, the story with him right now is he's on a Super Bowl winning team. Leonard Williams on the inside. Byron Murphy. You got DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. So this is a buy low spot if you can ever find one, especially in this year's free agency class. Something else I thought was very interesting. They have very similar measurables, right? Boye Mafe both You know, Trey was 6'4", Boye and Mafe 6'3 3/4. You look at the hand size, identical hand size, smaller, 10th percentile. And the same thing with arm length, bottom 20th percentile arm length. So it's not like these guys are long armed winning, with their pure size, but they're winning with their effort. They're winning with their motive. The number one thing that I saw, in the draft and even reading some of the scouting reports was this guy's motor is always on one. Always, right? And that was the same thing coming out of college. And as it is with the Seattle Seahawks, he's winning on his second move, and he's winning, not always on his first move, but it's chasing the quarterback. And I think that's the upside that he brings, right? This is a guy, when you look at the other options in free agency right now, I thought Jalen Phillips getting $30 million a year, the Bengals, I didn't think that they should have touched that water. But for $20 million for Boye Mafe, he can come in and immediately is a better pass rusher than Shamar Stewart. Immediately is a better pass rusher than Miles Murphy. And he's got the speed to him, right? This is a guy who ran one of the fastest 40s in his, entire draft class. When it comes to the edge, he ran a 4.55 or, 4.53. This guy's fast. And he's not winning off his pure athleticism, but I think that he's got the upside to really be a guy, in his second year. I think he got 8 sacks. I really think he could be productive with the Cincinnati Bengals. And if we're talking about a guy this season on this current roster that can get the most sacks, it is very likely Boye Mafe. So I do have a little bit of, concerns. And when you see that price tag, right, $60 million for 3 years, what I'm selling myself on right now is what else could you have done with that? And I think when you look at the pass rushers, I don't know if there's another edge that I would have loved for that price tag of $20 million. That's really what I'm selling myself. Like I said, Jalen Phillips for $30 million, I'm personally good off of that. Same thing, Odafe Owe got $100 million for 4 years. I'm personally good off of that. So 3 years, $60 million, I think it gives you a shot to say you're betting on the athleticism and you're betting on a guy whose motor is high and he's a Super Bowl winner. So that's kind of my spiel with Boye Mafe.
I think when you're looking at Mafe, there's a couple of things that I wanted to, kind of build off of you. And you talked about his athleticism and how fast he is. When I was doing some more research about him, I found a stat from him from 2024. There was an interception that somebody in Seattle threw, and he was trying to run down the guy who picked it off. He reached a 21.74 mile per hour at a 6'3", 250-pound guy. Like, only 2 Bengals had a faster registered speed last year, and that was Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. Obviously, there's not a lot of opportunities for people to really pick up steam like that, like he did going to block first guy, but he did. But the thing with Mafe that I really, really wanted to point out was when he's given the opportunity, he has been essentially extremely productive. We look at these two sacks from last year, and that is not anything to write home about. And I'm not going to sit here and try to defend that by any means. But there's 2 things still going for him in this last year that are good things to see. 12% pass rush win rate according to PFF. And then when you look at ESPN's pass rush win rate, they do it a little differently. It's more like the true pass rush win rate, and he was the 8th highest of any edge defender in the NFL. But again, the production, it comes with playing time with him. Mike McDonald got there 2 years ago. The year before McDonald got there, he had 72 pressures, 9 sacks, and played 75% of snaps. His snap share has gone down year after year, 60 last year, only 40% of snaps this past season. He played 40% of snaps for the Seattle Seahawks and still would have had the second most pressures on the Cincinnati Bengals in 2025. He played 26 snaps per game. 26 snaps per game. Osai and Miles Murphy both played over 40 for the Bengals. So his production on a per snap basis is ridiculous compared to what Cincinnati has had in the last few years. Again, I don't want to say there's still some projection to go with him because he has shown it. He's had a 9-sack season, a 6-sack season, a 58 pressure season, a 50 pressure season. He's gotten to the quarterback when he's given the opportunity to do so. And I would imagine, as the room currently stands, unless something crazy happens, he's going to have a whole hell of a lot of opportunity to get to the quarterback. Again, if you want to talk about the production for the price tag, I'd get being a little weary. But again, this is a guy, when given the opportunity, he has historically gotten to the quarterback at a very elite level. And if the Bengals are going to give him that opportunity, I expect good things to come from it. Yes, he might not be Trey Hendrickson, but he's a better version of Joseph Osai. He's got the upside. He's got the athleticism. He has a lot of similarities that the Bengals like in their defensive ends. He's big, he's long, he's athletic. Those are the guys you usually want to bet on. And I'm excited to see what he does.
For sure. And I just want to answer 2 quick questions. Somebody was talking about Odafe Owe. I understand. Listen, when you look at the contract, obviously the full details aren't out, and it was $68 million guaranteed. So that's at minimum. But the difference in these 2 guys, Owe is a bigger guy. Owe has, you could say, a better skill set when it comes to, his ability to do multiple things, but he doesn't have the speed that Boye Mafe does. Boye Mafe has the speed to win off of the edge. He has the speed to win off of that first move, that speed around the edge. That's not really Odafe Owe's game. So if you're looking at trying to fill the mold of Trey Hendrickson, Hendrickson's able to win off of the edge with his pure speed, you go the Boye Mafe route, and you kind of hope that dude can complement who you got on the other side. You got Myles Murphy, who's the bigger, stronger guy. Shamar Stewart, the same thing. So I think Odafe Owe would have been a little too redundant for my liking. And the other question somebody was asking, can he defend the run? Yes. This is a guy in Boye Mafe. He is not a designated pass rusher, right? When we discuss some of these guys like Azeez Ojulari or some of these guys in the draft, these guys are designated pass rushers, right? The smaller frame, the 250, 255 pound frame, the flashy. Boye Mafe has the strength to set the edge. So that's the upside that I think the Bengals also see, because this guy can't only just be in there for pass, he can also defend the run.
All right, can we talk about the elephant in the room? Can we talk about it? The Cincinnati Bengals go out and add UC product, Cincinnati product, Brian Cook. Oh, man, I love this move. Oh, I've been gushing about this, guys, probably since I first did my player free agency profile breakdown on him. If you guys notice, I did a very limited amount of player profile breakdowns this year. And it was based off of guys and intel that I heard the Bengals could or might have interest in. If you guys are not familiar with the YouTube channel, please go back and go look at go back and look at that as well if you guys are new to the channel. Because I discussed Brian Cook, and then obviously during the combine week, I heard that the Bengals were planning to make him a priority, and then that's when you guys looked at the combine nuggets. I was talking about that. This was a great signing. This is a great signing for the Bengals. This hopefully clears them up at the safety spot for at least the foreseeable future, right? You get a guy in here as a short tackler. His IQ, I think, is off the charts. I think that at points where he might have struggled in pass coverage was because honestly the defense was sometimes put at disadvantage situations, whether their inability to get to the quarterback. I'm really, really excited about the Brian Cook move, man. I'm really, really pumped up about the Brian Cook move. I think that this is going to answer a lot of the Bengals questions moving forward. And when we talk about moves that are going to, I guess, bolster this defense and bring championship level experience, this is the kind of move that we're talking about here. I look at guys like Boye Mafe coming off of a Super Bowl, Brian Cook, who's won 2 Super Bowls. You get that experience, and it's kind of like the Zach Taylor era, Duke Tobin going back to the mold of adding leaders and vets and guys who have with high character, who's done it at a high level, who's had a lot of success in the National Football League. This is what you look for. This is the ideal scenario. This is the ideal situation. And so while Geno Stone's when he first signed here in Cincinnati, it came with a lot of expectations because you think about who you're pretty much expected to replace, right? And obviously they had a little stopgap with Nick Scott and all that stuff like that. But I'm talking about the real big signing. This dude was expected. Okay, you're going to come in. You're going to be what the Bengals are missing with Jesse Bates, especially coming off of your great season with the Baltimore Ravens. And albeit at points, Geno Stone had some good moments here at Cincinnati. But in large part, it left a lot to be desired. Big plays were a thing that also, played a hand. You know what I mean? And I look at it too, and you look at the big game experience that from a guy like Boye Mafe, the big game experience from a guy like Brian Cook. They understand what it means to play championship level football at the highest level. And I think that's what really, really excites me for Brian Cook in a Jordan Battle tandem. What is that going to look like? You also, you guys touch a lot about Boye Mafe, but I look at, okay, if the Bengals can build sort of like a rotation, right, on the defensive line, of guys like Myles Murphy, Boye Mafe, Shamar Stewart, and impending guys that they could potentially go after too. And I'm sure they're still probably looking at that. Man, this defense could become a strength fairly quickly. I like this move though, guys. I really, really like this move. I think they're not done. They're not done. Let me just be clear on record saying that. They're not done. You ain't gotta wait for a gift or anything like that. They still plan to be aggressive. There's still some moves out there, some low-hanging fruit moves that they could absolutely make that are just obvious, right? Some I've kind of alluded to. But I think what excites me the most about this Bengals team is it opens up everything at 10 for you. And a little bit later on the show, I'm going to talk to you guys about a move that I would like the Bengals to make. it might come off as a little bit advantageous, I would say. But trust me, there are some real thought out points behind the move that I'm gonna bring up. I do want to talk to you guys about the impact of losing a guy like Joseph Osai, while we continue to dive into the Brian Cook signing. But I'll let you guys touch more on the Brian Cook signing before I give my thoughts.
Yeah, I think for me, it's something that kind of wraps up with Mafe and Cook. You know, if you look at their general production, you're not wowed. You know, you're not like, wow, this guy's really good. He's a game changer. Ton of interceptions, ton of sacks, ton of turnovers. But what they do have, they both have very promising underlying numbers, and that is, you know, that is something that's probably going to carry on time and time again. You know, the production and the counting stats are going to vary from time to time. But I mean, Brian Cook, again, no interceptions this past season, which sucks in general. When you look at it, he still had an 83.2 overall PFF coverage grade and 80 run defense grade. He's very solid, very well-rounded. But the most promising thing is, to me, he had the fourth most pass breakups in the NFL. You know, so yes, he might not be picking the ball off, but he's still making plays on the ball. And that's what matters when you're in the secondary. He's around the ball. He's not missing tackles. He's making plays on the football. And he's where he's supposed to be. You know, like playing safety is hard. Playing defensive back in the NFL is really, really hard. And Brian Cook has just done it at a super solid level for several years now in the biggest moments. He had a great play against us a few years ago, you know, knocking the ball away from Jamar Chase for the interception. But not only that, he's been more versatile than I think some people really give it credit for. Last year, 250 snaps in the box, over 100 in the slot, and about 478 as your deep free safety as well. We know Golden wants to move guys around. I'm not necessarily saying Cook is going to be that versatile piece, but when you've shown the ability to do it a little bit, it just gives you more flexibility. And again, Brian Cook, he just checks so many boxes. Great underlying numbers, great run defender, solid in pass coverage, versatility. There's just not much to dislike about the signing at all. It's a massive upgrade over Geno Stone and going to be a great pairing with Jordan Battle.
One quick thing while we got you guys here. If you guys are enjoying the show, please do us a favor, hit the like, subscribe to the channel so you guys never miss when we go live again. This is day 1 of 5 days of NFL Free Agency Frenzy. We do this. We've been doing this now. This is our 5th year doing this in a row. And we see a lot of people starting to jump on this and started doing this as well. But, you know, it was something we wanted to pretty much bring a different piece of content to you guys, let you guys know all the happenings around the league, but especially when it comes to Bengals content. I got a question for you guys for the sit-down community, right? See, like guys like that sit-down community. I want to know get you guys' opinion on this. Who do you guys think made the smartest move in free agency today and why? Please drop those down in the comment section. Marissa's on the 1s and 2s. We'll be make sure we highlight those and we'll get to them. So drop who you guys think made the smartest move in NFL free agency. Try not to be biased, please. Tell us who you guys think made the smartest move and why, and we'll be sure to get to Daniel. You want to continue touching on Brian Cook?
Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty simple. This is a guy who just adds to your room. And I think that the Bengals, and while I give them a lot of crap, and I think a lot of people give them a lot of crap, the one thing that I think that they do a good job of, at least right now, is trying to capitalize on guys that are right at that age. I mean, he's 26, 27. This is the prime of his career. You're getting this guy, respectfully, I mean, he's been good, but these should be his best years. And I think that that's one of the upsides that I see with a guy like Brian Cook. I think that this is a very, very good move to where you at least head into the draft once again saying, hey, I'm confident with Brian Cook as my starter. You're not heading in with Geno Stone saying, hey, this guy, we need an upgrade. You're cool. You're cool with where you are. And it's not only that, but it's the consistency, it's the expectation, and it's the fact that this guy has been just a consistent force for the Kansas City Chiefs. The stat that pops out for me, it's the missed tackles. This dude only has 11 missed tackles in the past 2 seasons. Yeah. Everybody has been irritated with how the Bengals safeties have missed tackles this past season. Even Jordan Battle, albeit him trying to make the big play sometimes, I think that will come with his growth. But for me, it's the fact that you now get a guy, despite being just 26, 27, this guy's a vet in the game. Yeah. 11 missed tackles for me. That was the number I circled when I was, doing my research for, free agency. That right away stuck out to me because it's not like a guy that's coming in that's played a backup role or a guy that you're drafting that you have to kind of project, okay, how is he going to fit into free safety? How can he play as a single high? This guy has done it at a very high quality level in high pressure situations. So when you discuss NFL free agency and when we discuss expectations for the Bengals, This is the type of signing you want. You want a guy that you're confident, you see serious upside with. It's not like this guy's 31 and you've seen his best football, but you also know the floor with this guy. So I'm very happy with this. And like I said, I think that this was a home run signing for the price tag that it was.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And again, please, if you guys do us a favor, drop down who you guys thought won NFL free agency, who's made the smartest move. I'm sorry, and why. I'm just really excited about these moves, guys. It's been a couple of years where I felt like the Bengals sort of like let things sort of pass them by, but this is one of those kind of moves that I think re-energizes the fan base. But guys, I have something I want to talk to you about real quick.
What's up?
It brings up the question. What do the Bengals do at 10? I'm gonna tell you guys some unpopular stuff really quickly. I think the entire board is open now. Coupled with the moves that I think that they're going to make here, or try to make, I should say. Got to specify that. I think it opens up the board. I think tackle could be on the board. I think cornerback could be on the board. I think, hell, you could even go defensive lineman. I'm not a fan of overdrafting guys. I don't know if I'm there yet. I talked to my guys, 2 scouts over at Bleacher Report, Dane Parsons, who you guys can follow, DP NFL, and my guy Daniel Harms as well, in Harm's Way, on social media. And we talked about my thought process on Peter Woods. 10 is a little rich for me, right? I think we're looking at 2 scenarios, guys. I think we're looking at a trade back scenario, or I think we're looking at, if that's the guy you're targeting, or I think you're looking at a guy potentially that's maybe not on the defensive line, because that's what this draft has allowed you to do. But I have a different thought process, guys. And I hope you guys actually hold on to your horses and to what I'm about to say real quick. I hope I don't piss people off. I would entertain trading the number 10 overall pick. I would. But not just for anyone. It's been reported by Jeremy Fowler and other folks that the Eagles have taken phone calls on pass rusher, game wrecker, Jaylen Carter. If that information is true, and Jeremy follows me, we have a good relationship. I think he's a good dude. And I think he's not going to put out anything that's not true. The fact that they are taking phone calls, or they've gotten phone calls on Jaylen Carter, that makes my ears perk up a little bit, because to me, there's no guessing there, guys. There's no guessing there. To me, you get a guy still in his rookie contract. But I'm going to break down a couple of reasons as to why I would seriously consider the Jaylen Carter trade. I think the Bengals need interior pass rush. That's no secret, right? I think Carter is a true defensive game wrecker. I think he's one of the rare guys in the National Football League that you know right away can be an absolute game changer for you. I think he'd transform the Bengals defensive line. I think by going out there acquiring a guy like Jaylen Carter, he'd bring the absolute most out of guys like Shamar Stewart, Miles Murphy, Boye, Mafe, so on and so forth. I think it would help the defense establish an identity with a guy like that. I think there's no qualms about it. You talk about championship level moves, and we know the Bengals were in it, albeit late on the Max Crosby situation. Why wouldn't you be in on the Jaylen Carter situation? You talk about a guy that would help maximize Joe Burrow's championship window. And what could a potential trade look like for him? I think a first-round pick, maybe a 2027 third-round pick, is something that could be reasonable, realistic. It's clear the Eagles are willing to listen. My question to that is why? Before we just shoot the idea down, because I know there are going to be people that probably are against it. Let's just talk about why. Let's talk about why the move makes a lot of sense. And that's something we're going to do a whole lot this year. I'm going to put the questions in the viewers' hands a lot this year. I want to get you guys' thoughts, because this is a show for the people and by the people. So I first and foremost want to ask you guys, should the Bengals make a blockbuster move or an attempt to trade for Jaylen Carter, who's still in his rookie contract, so you still get the everything involved, right? What is this, his 4th year in the league coming up?
Yep.
Right? So you still have the 5th-year option as well to work with. Should the Bengals make the move or attempt to acquire Jaylen Carter in a trade? Would you be willing to part ways with pick 10 for Jaylen Carter? Logan, I don't know where you stand. And one thing, me and Logan have been working together, guys, now for over 5 years. I still have a heavy misread on his disposition. I don't know where he stands on things. He makes weird faces at me. But to me, if you go out there and you take a Jaylen Carter, what you trade for a Jaylen Carter, pick 10 for, for the folks that say, "Logan, just draft Peter Woods." No, you're hoping Peter Woods turns into what Jaylen Carter already is. You're hoping that Peter Woods sniffs what Jaylen Carter already is, an elite run defender and a fantastic pass rusher. So talk to me, Logan. If you were the Cincinnati Bengals and you put that thinking cap on, are you making fuck them picks? Somebody said in the comment section, right? 100% Jared Arabian. Should the Bengals make a blockbuster trade for Jaylen Carter? Logan, tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm absolutely delusional.
I think for me, when you're looking at it sucks having to do this, but when you look at just a player, Jaylen Carter, it's yes, 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 and yes, and yes. And all time and time again, there was literally no downside to doing it. But something that really scares me for the Bengals is just the character, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big question coming into the NFL for him. He hasn't done anything terrible since coming to the NFL. I mean, spitting on Dak Prescott. I mean, obviously, like, it's not the best thing in the world to do, but like, if that's the worst thing you do since coming into the NFL, I mean, I think obviously as Bengals fans, we can live with that. But at the end of the day, I still think it's something that is just so worth it for me. There's be some major pause with that character concerns, but if you're looking at it through a positive lens, maybe that drives his price down a little bit in the trade. Maybe that drives his price down on the negotiation table. When there's just too many yeses, too many reasons why you should trade for him than not. Again, it's taking a swing, but taking a swing on a player that you're going to have for at least 2 more years, hopefully extend and be here at one of the more premium positions that you have not been able to find a person to be remotely relevant in that spot for a long time would be drastic change for this defense. And it sucks for me because I love Peter Woods. I would love to draft Peter Woods at 10th overall. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Jaylen Carter still. Like, I'm not that delusional to the fact. Everything Malik said is true. You're drafting Peter Woods or whoever that Caleb Banks, whatever your defensive tackle of choice is, to be Jaylen Carter. Why wouldn't you just
and a young player at
Jaylen Carter?
A young player at that. He's not. We're not talking about a guy who's 29 years old or 28. Like, to me, this makes so much more sense. And if you're in on Max Crosby, why wouldn't you be in on Jaylen Carter?
That kind of surprised me a little bit seeing that. So I think, in general, when you hear that, the people toss these ideas of the Bengals to trade this guy and that guy, it's always shot down. But hearing and seeing that they kind of they sniffed around the Max Crosby situation a little bit, like you said, it kind of perks your ears up like, oh, crap. Maybe this isn't as crazy as it is. Maybe they are kind of going to try something they haven't done before. I'd be all for it. I mean, it's in my long-winded answer. When you can add one of the best interior pass rushers in the league, I think you take that chance every chance you get.
Yeah, I'm all for this, man. And I think that if you're a team that's looking to win a championship, you do this. Like, I don't think that there is a real, pause, right? If you discuss the Eagles side, I think it's kind of clear to see why they would be interested, right? Number one, the character. Number two, they signed Jordan Davis. They have a lot of contracts that they got to pay out. So, and for the Eagles, if you get a first-round pick, it's good. So if I'm in the shoes of the Bengals and I get a phone call from the Eagles, or I say, hey, pick 10 for Jaylen Carter, I just don't see how you can turn that down. That is the position that you've been begging for, you've been looking for. You tried to get Walter Nolan. Like, there's so many times where the Bengals have been yearning for this, and where else can you get this? You ain't getting this in free agency. You're getting it through the trade. So I think pick 10 and a 3rd round pick, I would personally do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, to me, though, it just makes a lot of sense. It's your biggest need. You've been screaming from the mountaintop for the last couple of seasons, hey, we need to fix the 3-tech spot. We need to get a true defensive dominant presence in here. That would fix it. I don't care what the Eagles, respectfully, I don't care what the Eagles would draft. The Eagles are in the NFC. They're not in division.
Yep.
You play the Eagles once every couple of years. The only time you have to really worry about it is maybe in the Super Bowl. If you see them, it's to me, you talk about having a guy like Jaylen Carter under contract for the next 2 years. Is he better right now than any of the players that you would potentially draft? Yes. Right. So that answers that. So if the Eagles go out there and they go out and say, we're going to go after Caleb Downs, sure, go do that. We have Jaylen Carter. We have Jaylen. Listen, it's not too many moves that are just absolutely obvious to me, right? This is obvious to me. You have the chance to add a guy like a quote unquote Jaylen Carter, trade and pick 10. So therefore, okay, damn, Jaylen Carter is our 1st round pick this year, not said Peter Woods or said tackle or said whoever, because we go out there Peter Woods. So I mean, we go after you go after Jaylen Carter, and then you follow it up. You still have a top 10 pick in the 2nd round, top 10 pick in the 3rd. Well, depending on what that looks like in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. So you still have your pick of the litter. You still have picks at your disposal to still build this team out. All you simply did was say, hey, you know what? We're giving you 10. And we want Jaylen Carter. We want a premier player at the interior of the defensive line that we don't have to worry about. I don't know, man. I personally think this is an absolute no-brainer. But then again, I could be too aggressive. I could be dealing in la la land. But I think the teams that want to win championships, this is what they do. I don't agree with what the Ravens did. I don't agree in trading 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby. But hey, that's a team that was willing to take a chance, right?
Mhm.
They were willing to take a chance, and they said, hey, we believe that we can get the most out of Max Crosby and out of Lamar Jackson's Super Bowl window. The Bengals have been screaming from the mountaintop. The interior of the defensive line is the area that they want to fix. So are you going to overdraft a guy at 10? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what we're doing? These are the questions I'm making. So somebody said the issue you're going to have is many teams can beat any offer you all make. Let's talk about that for a second. What team is going to offer the Philadelphia Eagles a pick inside the top 10 right now for Jaylen Carter?
Yeah.
Realistically, let's talk about it. Because there are teams out and that are in those teams that are in the top 10 are already either set on the players they're going to draft or what else. To me, if the Eagles are truly seriously considering trading Jaylen Carter, the worst thing to happen for the Bengals in terms of them having a terrible season picking 10 might be the biggest blessing, because now you're giving the Eagles a top 10 pick with Howie Roseman. And they've got a big question marks at the safety spot. Maybe Caleb Downs makes sense. Maybe Dylan Thyman makes sense. Maybe they go out in there and they go and draft a Mansour Delane. You know, to me, the options that the Philadelphia Eagles have makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. To me, what's enticing about this is you're not trading for a guy that you have to sign to a contract immediately. You're trading for a guy that's premier at his position right now. And guess what? You have him on a contract for 2 years. So we're talking about 2 years before you have to negotiate a new contract. 2 years, but before you have to negotiate a new contract. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? You had interest in a guy like Byron Murphy. You had interest in all these 3 techs. To me, it just makes the most sense. Dominant. Absolute dominant. Absolute force. You go turn on the tape. You go watch the Philadelphia Eagles games. He absolutely is a game wrecker. And albeit, they just went out there and they signed a guy in Jordan Davis, who plays a different position than Jaylen Carter and at nose tackle, but they put those resources towards Jordan Davis, who I believe also was very underrated, disrespected. But I think that it just makes a lot of sense. Cordarius, you said realistically the Chiefs who need a defensive tackle, Chris likely on last year. But again, that's a future move for them. Put it this way, they're in a much better move to go out there and get a Reuben Bain if they wanted to than the Bengals are, because they pick before the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Chiefs might look at it and say, hey, if the Titans are going to go out there and draft a running back, which is widely what's assumed around the league, just to put that out there, it's widely assumed around the league, Jeremiah Love is going to go to the Tennessee Titans. It would make sense. It would make sense. I understand, Cordarius, you're trying to make reason as to why the Bengals would not do that. I mean, why the Bengals would not land him, or why it wouldn't make sense. But the Tennessee Titans went out there and got John Franklin Myers, which was also one of the worst kept secrets, because Tennessee Titans wanted to pair him up with Jeffrey Simmons. That was one of the worst kept secrets. Those are moves that they're going to make. They're not planning to trade Jeffrey Simmons, from my understanding. They're planning to pair those two together and have a dominant defensive line tandem, right? Going out there with Jermaine Johnson, who they traded for. There's a lot of reasons why the Titans would not do that.
And I also, not to cut you off, but just looking at it, to be honest, I don't think there's another team in the top 10 that would. The Titans, you don't trade the number 4 overall pick. You don't.
Yeah.
No.
And the Chiefs, I hear what he's saying,
that's
but
the only one that's like
maybe, but at the same time, for the Chiefs that are looking dollars wise, at number 9, this is the top pick that the Chiefs haven't had in ages, and they got another pick in the back end. So I think that, I don't know if they would trade number 9. Maybe they could, but at the same time, like, if they have Reuben Bain that falls into the lap, they've got a top tier offensive tackle. I think the Chiefs, in my opinion, are going to draft a premier guy at number 9 and just be happy with them being on a rookie scale contract.
They need that.
Somebody asked the question, okay, if they ask for more than the number 10 overall pick, how far would you go? In my opinion, I mean, if we're at the table, I would give up next year's third.
Let me ask you guys, what's a potential Super Bowl in the Joe Burrow window to you? That's the question I have. What's your image of going all in? If you were at the table, what were you planning to offer the Raiders for Max Crosby? Let's start there.
Yep.
What are you willing? What is a potential Super Bowl, right? What is a potential Super Bowl worth to you? That's listen, I talk to league executives, I talk to agents all day, right? And there are teams out there that make trades, that want to win, that are aggressive, that are super aggressive. Nobody thought the Ravens were going to be the team to go out there and land Max Crosby, but they did. First thing I told Daniel, I looked at him, I said, this ain't Ozzie Newsom's front office anymore. That's an aggressive ass move. That's a team that says, hey, you want to win. I don't fake inside. I don't fake any of this. What I can tell you though is I'm the kind of guy that I feel like there are certain moves that are just obvious, that'll hit you over the head, that are just point blank obvious. You've been screaming from the mountaintop, every combine, we want to go out there and we want to add a interior dominant presence, right? Byron Murphy was that dream for you at one point. Then Jerzon Newton was a guy you liked before the foot injuries became a thing and you let him pass you by, right? All these guys you talk about that you want to add. Let me just simply be the person to throw it out there. Who is that guy that you're going to draft at 10 or a potential trade back first round, whatever, that you think is better right now than a Jaylen Carter? And to that question, someone asked, okay, what if they want more? Okay, what are they willing to give up? Pick 10 is a rich pick. It's a rich pick. The Eagles could have their pick of the litter of what they want at 10. And they Lord knows they could really go crazy at some positions, corner, safety, the whole 9 yards. What if 10 is not enough for you? Well, I don't know. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
And to me, maybe I'm not meant to be a general manager. Maybe I'm not meant to be in a front office. But to me, I'm interested in bringing championships. And if this is what's going to bring championships to the team, I'm all for it. And somebody says men can't be toxic to other men. That's being men. What? I don't know what that means.
They're just talking about him potentially being toxic to the locker room.
But name a player that doesn't have an ego. Name a player that doesn't. There are so many players with egos and people don't like each other. You don't have to. We're trying to win fucking football games. The day of nice guys and all. We're trying to win championship, man. Jaylen Carter also, he would come in with a what, guys? Championship. Talking about adding 3 new starters on the defensive side of the ball that are all bringing championship level experience, having played in the Super Bowls and having won the big thing. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't think so. You know, this is a dude that we were talking about initially when he first came out of the draft before the unfortunate situation came out. Was a top 5 pick. No brainer. Yeah. Can Jaylen Carter be closer? Is Jaylen Carter closer to Aaron Donald? Probably. Is he a guy that could be an absolute, probably the best defensive tackle in the NFL right now? He could be that. He's not that right now. I think that's Jeffrey. He's that though. That's just me. Somebody say it looks like the draft might be going by 10 though. For who though? We're looking at it from a Bengals lens. I'm looking at it from a league lens. You give the Eagles 10, that can get Mansour Delange, Gerard McCoy. It could get all these different guys that could help their secondary. The safety spot, Caleb Downs might still be there. They could even go defensive line. They might go tackle. There's a myriad of moves that the Eagles could do that I think would make a lot of sense for them. Talking about character. I don't talk about character. I want to talk about championship. I'm talking about dogs. I want to win a championship, man. I want to win a championship. I don't want nice guys. BJ Hill, good guy, good player. Is BJ Hill a game changer? No. Listen, I'm talking facts here. We talking about opening Joe Burrow's championship window. We're talking about a player that's potentially elite. Come on, man. You know why we rely so much on our edge rushers? Because we have no interior damn pass rush. That's why. So we can't get guys like Miles Murphy to get going all the time, or we can't get guys like Shamar Stewart to get going all the time. We're looking at them like, no. We're game changers, man. We're game changers. We're guys that are going to make you put your quarterback on his ass. That's what I want. I don't care if you bake cookies. I don't care if you sign autographs. Which he does sign autographs. Nice guy. I want championships. The Bengals could use a little attitude on the defense within reason. Right? Just want to make sure I'm just saying I don't condone spitting on people. But I am going to condone winning championships, and that's a move that will lead to a championship. I'm just saying, Cincinnati, you told the world we love Byron Murphy. He was close. He was within reach, and you didn't trade for him. You didn't trade up for him. Seahawks got him. What the Seahawks do this year? Anybody? Daniel? Logan, what did the Seahawks do this year?
Dominated.
Won a bowl.
They won a championship. Remember there were question marks about Byron Murphy's character? Remember that, guys?
Yeah.
Briefly?
Yeah.
Because the evaluators didn't like the fact that he had tattoos on his neck and stuff, all that stuff. Who made game-changing plays after game-changing plays for them? Byron Murphy.
It is a very ugly tattoo.
It is.
But
I'm saying-
damn good football player.
But I'm saying, we talk about this, and I want guys that are going to bring the best out of this team, not nice guys, not guys going to pat you on the back. And he can learn all that. He can fit into the culture here, playing with an elite quarterback like Joe and all these other players that he probably bring the most out of. I'd be so pumped up to see what Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy would look like with freaking Jaylen Carter rushing from the middle of this team.
Yeah.
We put so much emphasis on these interior guys. Why? I mean, on these edge rushers, because we got the interior pass rush. Sure, BJ Hill could do a nice little pass rush every now and again on third down. I want somebody that's going to make teams fear them.
Mm-hmm.
Not for the extracurricular stuff, but for the play on the field. I want a game wrecker. I want a guy that can bully Quentin Nelson. I want a guy that they have to double team and teams scheme away from him, and they're running on the outskirts of they're running plays and zone plays to get away from him. That's what I want. I want championships, man. I want championships.
Yeah, man. I think one thing, Pete Kreischer said it best. A lot of the top teams have dominant defensive tackles. That's the way of the league right now. All 4 teams that finished in the conference finals or championships this year had some sort of dominance from the interior. Milton Williams with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously had the Seahawks. There's so many different teams that are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, when you look at this, and some people are saying, oh, well, what would the price be for Jaylen Carter? I think that, I don't think it would be 2 first-round picks. I do think that the Eagles could potentially see a top 10 pick, especially if it's been floated out that the Eagles are looking to potentially move Jaylen Carter. A top 10 pick is valuable. And I struggle to see if they are willing to part ways with Jaylen Carter, that they wouldn't take the 10th pick and a 3rd round pick. I think that would be at most. So if you're the Bengals, I'm with you, Malik, and I'm with you, Logan. I think that this is a move from the defensive tackle spot. When you just watch this guy one-on-one, he is winning 30 to 40% of the time. And if not, one thing that he does well that literally only one other team I think really emphasizes this is the Pittsburgh Steelers in batted passes. When you look at last year, he had 6 batted passes. The season before, 7 batted passes. That's a stat, in my opinion, that's not talked about enough. It's almost as good as a sack, in my opinion, because it's something that you yourself, when he got that batted pass, 6 batted passes last year, top 3 in the NFL in the past 2 seasons, that is you stopping the play to a net 0 gain. And the fact that he was top 3 in that, the only other guys that really do that is Cam Hayward. The Bengals know a lot about that. So Jaylen Carter is a guy that undoubtedly is a star. And I do think that the tea leaves are kind of there to the Eagles potentially trading him. Like you said, Jordan Davis plays a different position, but they just gave him the bag. There is a chance that they're coming up on this and the Eagles are maybe saying, hey, we draft well. You got multiple guys. You got guys on the defensive line that you are producing. Jalix Hunt is a guy that I went back and rewatched. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He was dominating on the edge for them. This team just produces defensive linemen. And for them, if you could say, hey, we don't have to sign Jaylen Carter massive extension. We don't have to pay him his massive 5th-year option. We get a top 10 pick and we have 5 years of control with this player. I do think that that is something that if the Eagles hear that phone call, I struggle to see how they don't entertain that. So
yeah, it's even could just be as simple as we like Jaylen Carter. We don't want to pay Jaylen Carter. Give us pick 10 and we'll draft Peter Woods ourselves. We'll draft Caleb Banks ourselves. We have the history of developing these guys into elite players like we did with Jordan Davis, like we do with Jaylen Carter. So it's just, to them, it could just be as simple as let's get another defensive tackle. It's going to be a lot cheaper that we can develop again, and we'll see what happens again in 6 years from now.
Mhm.
Like, it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, to me, guys, I get so fired up about this stuff because I just feel like there are a lot of moves that don't just slap you over the head that makes a lot of sense. But this is one of those it gets you pumped up, man. Gets you fired up.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me fired up. It's one that I'm excited about. Like, and if you're, could I ask you a question? Serious question, guys.
Mm-hmm.
What was Max Crosby gonna change? If you were in the
We've
no,
already-
like all jokes aside, seriously, if no, you could talk a little, but if you were in the Mike Crosby conversations,
Yeah.
I had to think your first round pick came up. in
Oh,
the
for sure.
conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what
Yeah.
was he going to change if you did not fix the biggest issue that has been plaguing you since the Super Bowl run with Larry Ogunjobi and BJ Hill were a great tandem, and Mike Daniels? Like, what was he going to change?
Yeah, like in general, I think it'd be awesome to have Max Crosby, but we've
Yeah.
already seen what the team looks like with one of the best edge defenders in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Trey's better than Max Crosby or anything, but we have already seen what this Bengals team looks like with the sack leader, with
Right.
an elite defensive end. What does getting a different one do?
Right.
Especially for the price that he was going for. It's not like he was just available to sign or going to go for cheap, like, and he can just be on the team. Giving up 2 first-round picks to get a player that we've already seen be on the defense before probably would not have been great business.
Bro, my thought process is you want to know what you really have in guys like Shamar and Miles. You would know. You would find out fairly quickly. I'm sorry, I keep leaving Boye Mafe out of the equation.
We'll get used to it.
You want to talk about it? Yeah, get used to it. You want to talk about a game record, though, man? I don't care about that. I mean, sure, you can draft a potential Hall of Famer at 10, but I just feel like there are some people in the comment section. You guys are entitled to your opinion. I appreciate it. And make sure you drop your questions down in the comment section. We'll get to them as well. There are folks in there that are saying, no, give me. They're like, just give me Peter Woods or Banks and we'll just develop them. It's like, do you have the opportunity to develop these? Do you really have the chance to develop these guys in the Super Bowl window right now? If they're not ready to contribute right away, damn, that would be a miss, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To a degree. And by right away, I don't mean in week 1 and week 2 and week 3, the first month of the season. I'm just talking about overall. If you aren't seeing something positive right away, what are we doing? You should be looking to get people that are going to immediately upgrade this defense because it's clearly you tried to go the draft route. By that metric, Chris Jenkins, in a lot of people's eyes, hasn't worked out because he didn't meet the standard because the Bengals put him in an almost impossible situation. Hey, we're gonna throw you to the wolves right away, even though you're not necessarily ready. So again, I want guys in here that can perform right away. Don't need to hold your hand. You get a guy that was a top 5 pick. Let's call it what it is. Not a top 5 pick, but a top 5 talent at his position. Why wouldn't you go after him? I also want to take a moment to give a shout out to Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor and Bengals brass. I usually get on the show and I dump on them a lot sometimes for the idiotic moves that they make or don't make. But Brian Cook was a very good signing.
Mm-hmm.
Boye Mafe is a signing that we'll see. I like the potential of the signing.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know I hate that word potential. I hate it. Intangibles. I hate that. But I think for you guys not standing pat, this was a good start to free agency. A lot more work to do, a lot more signings to make. But overall, like the direction, guys. I like the direction. I've got to like the direction. I wonder what this means for the snap count for guys like Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart, with Boye Mafe now in the fold. How is that all going to shake out?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, because there's going to be a battle. It's going to be some competition, right?
Yeah.
Shamar's a guy you can move all around the line. You know? Somebody, Wyatt Brown, 5916 says, you're talking a lot about something the Bengals will never do. You see, this is why I came to Cincinnati. You guys talk a lot about what they will never do. I rather talk about the possibilities of what could happen. This is a move that could happen. No one thought the Bengals would be in on Max Crosby, but they were. No one thought the Bengals could be even in on James Franklin Myers, even though I thought that was a very bad move at 29-year-old defensive tackle, but they were. Let's not talk a lot about the not, guys. Trust me, the family does a good enough job of that for us to not be, happy. Can we live in the world of possibilities, please? Because that's what fantasy is. You got your franchise quarterback a little annoyed, talking about we need to fix the defense, and let's not talk about what we can't do. If not, then log off. Just log off. Don't. But we're gonna talk about the potentials of what could happen, because this is a team that's in dire straits to fix their defense, because the defense has been an issue for a while now. That's what I think. Let's get to some questions now. Daniel, the floor is yours.
All right. Yeah. Once again, you guys can drop down you guys' questions below, whether it's players who you guys are interested in, any question you guys have. But Sean Brennan All right, guy, we appreciate you tuning in.
My guy, the Chiefs guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good moves by you guys. Good moves by you, Chiefs, man. Goodbye. Good move by you guys.
Mm-hmm. He said, Malik, who do you think won the day? Who signed the most impactful player today?
I know what you want me to say. I know what you want me to say, Sean.
I could say it first.
Sean, I know what you want me to say, buddy. I've missed you too on the show. I know what you want me to say. I like the move that you guys made with Kenneth Walker. I love Kenneth Walker. I think you guys needed somebody that was going to balance out that offense a little bit. Patrick Mahomes getting up there in age now, right? Not super old. He's not getting old. I'm just saying he's getting up there in age where you want to see how he's going to come back from the ACL injury. You don't want to put too much on him. I like the moves you guys made. That is what I'll tell you. I won't give you more than that, Sean. Won't give you more than that, but I like those moves. I thought you guys made some good moves. I thought I like some of this. Can't believe I'm saying this. I like some of the stuff the Steelers did too.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think the Steelers made some good moves. I do. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's real quick. We can get into this more later, but I think that Kenneth Walker move opened up everything for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you're able to draft who you want at 9. You don't have to be saying, hey, it has to be Jeremiah Love. No, you got a real star in Kenneth Walker. But who would you say was your favorite move, Logan?
I think maybe my favorite underrated signing was Cade Mays to the Lions. I think the Lions have kind of had a weird, fluctuation in the interior of the offensive line for a number of reasons. And he's a guy that comes in, can play center for them, can rotate in at guard, can just do a number of different things. Coming off a good year in Carolina, kind of took him a little bit to get his footing in the NFL. But he's just, for a very Lionsy player, a versatile interior offensive line that solves a lot of needs for a team that really, built himself on having a good offensive line. He was the first center off the board. They kind of got him for cheaper, but before Linderbaum exploded the market, absolutely, as he deserved to. But Cade Mays, just a little underrated signing there for the Lions.
For sure. So somebody else was asking about the linebackers, right? Devin Lloyd, Leo Chenal are two of the top guys.
Before we jump into that, I just want to make sure I mention this, guys. We have a goal, man. We want to hit the next 1,000 on our Twitter. I mean, on our YouTube. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be live all 5 days of NFL free agency, breaking down the latest news as it happens. If anything breaking happens tonight, I'll be back live tonight at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., whatever happens, because you guys know I don't sleep. Work. And this is our busy time of the year. So if we got you guys here, do that. If you guys haven't done so already, if you have a Twitter, do me a favor. I might do a giveaway at the end of the week. If you have a Twitter, follow me on Twitter at Wright Report. Follow me on Twitter, 2 T's, man. Stay up to date with all the latest and greatest news happening and so on and so forth. Follow me on Twitter. I promise I'm sort of a fun follow. Don't you say, Logan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Logan doesn't like all my tweets. He
I like his every time I see him, man.
Follow me on Twitter, man. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter's link is down in the comment section. Because definitely want to keep you guys informed. Definitely want to make sure you guys get to see all my content, all the stuff that we do. And we do a lot on this YouTube channel. We do NBA breakdowns. We also talk about UFC fights. I usually give out picks and stuff like that. But also huge into the NFL. But this is your one-stop shop for all things sports. On the Sit Down's YouTube channel. I also sit down and talk with athletes on this show. I'm on this channel as well. So make sure you guys are keeping a lock with us. Follow it. And my Twitter is linked below as well. So greatly appreciate you. It's on the ticker as well. But Daniel, sorry.
No, you're good. Jose Mainetti, he said, would you guys rather have Leo Chenal or Devin Lloyd? Logan, if you had to pick out of those two, who would you rather have in the Bengals?
It's tough. I think in general, I lean Chenal just because of the price tag where things are going to come in. I think Devin Lloyd's a better player. I don't think anybody's truly going to argue that. Yeah, I mean, it's
I didn't say anything.
No, but it's closer than people think still. But still, in terms of the price tag and everything, I think Chenal is just going to be a better option, which should matter. If you sign Devin Lloyd, I'm not sure. I don't know what the contract would look like, but it's going to be a lot. I don't know how much room that leaves him to add some smaller things that really help shore up the roster. If you sign Lloyd, I would say you're probably almost done, but if you add Chenal, there's still some pieces that you can move in and bring in. So that's why I lean Chenal. I don't think the difference is that much to where I would just get Lloyd to be satisfied with my defense. I like the idea of Chenal and being able to add a few more pieces.
I love the fact that he's so versatile, Chenal. That's what I love about him. I love that. I feel like everything that Al Golden talks about wanting to do with his defense, he fits that to a T. That's what I like about it. And I feel like the price tag might be a little less. So I'm a little bit biased in terms of the asking. Also, the idea of pairing him together with Brian Cook, they're already together, chemistry, another Super Bowl champion, makes a lot of sense. I like Devin Lloyd. I just don't want to be super priced out to a point where you can't do other things. I don't want the Bengals to be in an uncomfortable spot, especially if you got a guy like Leo Chenal who can help accentuate and get the most out of guys like Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. That's why he makes sense for me. I also just want to make sure I make note of this real quick, Logan and Daniel and Marissa and everybody watching us live. Because every year people ask me, Malik, do you still break news? Or like, I just want to say I was first on the Brian Cook to the Bengals. Just want to put that out there. Anybody disagreeing with that?
No.
Okay. I was first on the Michael Pittman trade. I got a call literally maybe about 2 minutes before everyone broke in and said, Pittman traded to the Steelers, put it out there. And my guy hung up and I tweeted it right away. That's why it wasn't really a complete sentence. Michael Pittman traded to the Steelers. So Brian Cook, Pittman trade. And, you know, I had another two as well, but the Osai stuff is something that was told to me as well. So I just want to make sure I put that out there because some people say, well, you dealing cryptic all the time, so we don't know what news you're breaking on. I just want to put it out there that I was first on those. Hopefully one day I'll get flowers, but Daniel, continue.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think that when you guys discussing linebackers, I'm sure this will be a major point of our conversation throughout the week. Those two guys are legit. And I think that's the end all be all. You both, you know, Chenal, you're getting a little bit different. Chenal can play more of the edge and at least has played more on, you know, the actual defensive line. But I think either one of those guys are legit, and I think that they step in right away and are the best linebacker on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Before we go to the next question, I kind of want to throw another linebacker out there, not in terms of signing over these guys, but in the event where you don't necessarily get either of them, you price yourself out of Lloyd. Somebody signs Chenal first. Again, this isn't a guy that I think is better than him, but I really like Caden Ellis's fit in Cincinnati. He's a little bit older too. But when you kind of look at how the Bengals used Demetrius Knight at the start of last year, he was on the line of scrimmage a ton. And he was honestly, in the nicest way possible, really bad at it. That's not his game. But Caden Ellis, that is kind of his game. When you look at the linebacker position, he's a very good pass rusher for a linebacker. He's a very good blitzer. He led every linebacker. He was a second in the NFL in linebackers in terms of pressures at the linebacker position. He's got over 20 in the last 3 years. I mean, he has an 8-sack season as a linebacker, the several seasons over 4 sacks at the linebacker position. When it's a very specific need, but in that role where you can walk that linebacker down and put him on the edge, he prevents Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter from doing that, which allows them to play out their strengths a little bit more. So an event where we continue to miss out on every single linebacker, I think Caden Ellis would be a very cheap ad.
Oh man, I like Caden Ellis. Just a little older.
Yeah,
older,
right?
Definitely. But definitely would not mind that. Somebody said, "Dude, they hate on you today." So this happens every free agency, guys. Where I just want you to look at like how I like it. I don't want to keep making it about me, but it's very strikingly different from how when I break news and I say things, how I'm treated versus other folks. And it sucks sometimes, but you kind of just. Once I went to the combine this year and nobody in Cincinnati media said a word to me outside of my guy Charlie, I kind of knew where things were. I kind of knew where I stood, and I kind of just kept it pushing, man. It's lonesome, but you know what? At the end of the day, man, I love what I do. I love doing the shows. I love talking ball with you guys. I love coming forth to you. I get it. You do anything for a long, long time. Some people will like your content. Some people won't like your content. Content's not for everybody. Completely okay with that. Just gonna continue to be me. Keep grinding with my guys, never changing, never switching up. Let's get some more questions.
For sure. So we had 2 questions. Both of these were about defensive tackle. We had somebody earlier was discussing DJ Reader. What's you guys' thoughts on potentially DJ Reader? And then we just had Jim Gegner said, you guys are talking DT. Any thoughts on Sebastian Joseph Day? He's 30, but could be a cheaper ad at a need position.
Man, I'd be personally, I like Sebastian Joseph Day. He's good friends with a buddy of mine. They both from Jersey and stuff, but I don't, man. I'm good on it.
Yeah,
I'm good on it, man. I'd be okay with that. I know that, there was some potential interest a couple years back, and he didn't have the same interest level. I'm good on that. At that point, give me Peter Woods. But what are your thoughts, Logan?
I think for me, don't really care for either of them. I understand the DJ thing a little bit, but they just don't need the type of player DJ is right now. I think TJ Slayton is a really, like, I don't want to say underrated player, but I think Bengals fans act like he kind of is just terrible. Like he's just not coming off a career high in sacks. Granted, it's only 3, but still, that's nice. He's a good run defender. He's just not something you need to upgrade on. If we're really looking at defensive tackles, I think the best name to target for the Bengals at this point in free agency would be Logan Hall. I mean, I think he's the only one left that's young, that has some upside, that can do a little bit of everything, provide some flexibility, but really be a 3-tech that gives you some hope in that room. And I think that's what they're really looking for. He's similar to Mafe in a degree, only 2 sacks last year, but over 30 pressures, 32 pressures. That would have been 3rd highest on the team and 10 more than BJ Hill. And, so it's if you're looking to upgrade that room going into the draft, or maybe you're not trying to pigeonhole yourself into a DT at 10, or just really give you some life, some youth, some excitement, something to look forward to in the defensive tackle room before the draft, I really like Logan Hall.
Can I say something to you real quick, Logan?
Yeah.
As a football mind here, one of the football minds here, football coach, I still don't feel like you're pigeonholed to a defensive tackle at 10. Let me tell you why.
I don't think so.
Because Shamar Stewart, where was he rushed from majority of the time at Texas A&M? He
moved
rushed
around
from the front. He was moved around. He's rushed from the inside. But to me, I feel like Shamar is a guy that can survive there. He was rushed there for the Bengals, and he was able to provide a lot of pressure and stuff like that. While let's say you want to go Boye, Mafe, and Miles Murphy, to me, it makes sense for Shamar Stewart to be there without having to over aggressive. So I still think drafting best player available is still available to you at 10 without having to jump the line and do anything crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, it's still. I still think it's open. I still think I think I still think the board is open for you. I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to draft the defensive tackle or defensive lineman at 10. I think you generally draft the best player available because I think Shamar Stewart has the flexibility in the defensive line. When I talked to my guy Trevor Singelman over at PFF, he talked about that. His ability to move all along the defensive line, rush from the interior. It allows you to do so much more. So he gives you a little bit of leeway there without having to feel like you have to rush that position.
Yeah, I think I was definitely referring to 10, but just in general, it just opens it up more to not even potentially have the draft one, or to be able to draft one in the 2nd or the 3rd, just whatever. I like Shamar, I like his versatility. I think even Miles can provide some of that from the interior as well. Just in general, I think we all know they need some more talent in the interior of the defensive line, and I frankly don't care how we get it.
For sure. And I think we'll have our draft discussions later, but this is, you always, especially with the top 10 pick, you got to go with the guy that you can see being a franchise piece. And that's when it opens up the board, because you can't just pigeonhole yourself saying we have to take this guy because we have a need. No, you got to be open to offensive tackle, corners, safety, edge, whatever it is, because there could be a guy that falls there. Jim Gegner had another good question. If you could steal, this is an interesting one. If you could steal a single player who signed with another team today at that same contract, who would it be and why? I can go first. I thought, and this is a weird one, but I thought one of the more underrated signings, it was Malik Robinson to the Washington Commanders. It was a 2-year deal for $17 million. But this is one of the best slot corners in the NFL. He can play out wide, but he's small. He's 5'8", 180. And I think with the Bengals, this also goes to something else I'm interested in, whether it's the draft or free agency. I think the slot position can be improved. I think that a guy like Malik Robinson, he's going into Washington. He is immediately their slot guy, and he's locking that down. He is a guy who comes in and plays with an edge. And I think that's something the Bengals kind of need. They obviously signed Jalen Davis, a 1 year, 1.4, but I want some guy that can kind of fill that Mike Hilton role a little bit, right? Mike wasn't great in coverage, but goddamn, that was a guy. If you needed a corner blitzer, that was him. And Dax can do that, obviously, as a boundary guy, and he play the slot, obviously. But I would love a guy who's slotted in at slot. And he was one of the guys that went off the board. Obviously, $8 million a year is a pretty penny. But is there any guy that you thought was a target that you were upset that didn't go to the Bengals?
In terms of like a pure target for the Bengals, I don't really think so. I think Brian Cook was probably the best safety target, all things considered. And really, when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, Mafe is probably up there too in terms of, like we talked about, Jalen Phillips was a ton of money. Where are we going to do that? Owe a little bit same as well. And just in terms of somebody else that I really would want from another team, it's not something the Bengals would ever do, but I would take Tyler Linderbaum at that contract. I don't care how much it is. Every other week, when you have the ability to add probably the best interior offensive lineman in the league, I think you do that. And obviously, we all know how important that would be for the Bengals. So I guess that's where I would go. It's a very cop-out answer because he's just that good. And they would never give out that contract, especially to an interior offensive lineman, but he's just so good.
Yeah. So Jacob Mann had a question. Any updates on Cam Taylor-Britt or Trey? But I'll pose this question. Are you interested in bringing them back? Obviously, Trey said his goodbye and everything, but he's not signed to a team. Are those guys that you're interested in bringing back, or are you good off them?
I talked to Trey's people today, all day today. We've been texting back before. I've established a good friendship with them, and they said never say never. But at the end of the day, it's not shaping up right now the way they thought. They thought that they would have some potential suitors. Things changed. The picture changed a little bit when the Cowboys went after Gary. Still got some questions about what the Falcons might do. There are still some teams out there that potentially trade for him. I never got the notion that Trey would be the first board. I also feel like this. You got to put this into perspective. This is Trey's last big contract he's going to get.
Yep.
His second time entering free agency, his last huge contract he's going to get. He wants to make it count. I don't think it's a lack of suitors for Trey Hendrickson. I think that it's a judicious process, making sure you land with the right team, the right fit, the whole 9 yards. Because Trey wants to play for a winner, but he also wants to cash in huge for his family. And we'll see. We'll see what takes place there. I'm very interested to see how that shakes out. Very interested. That's why I've kind of been not annoying them, but we've been talking a little bit all day today. Like, hey, what's going on? What's the update? What's this and there? So like, I'll be honest with you guys. There's a lot of stuff that I hear, and you might get some people who put out stuff on social media. I really try to not put that out as much. I really try to just put out stuff that's definitely happening, because you kind of get people's hopes up, and then it kind of just falls flat when it doesn't happen. There's a lot of guys who I know the Bengals have interest in, but it's more so those things like I'll talk about it when it's close to the finish line, or when it's within relatively realistic striking distance. And yeah, again, I look forward to doing this entire free agency frenzy show and talking about it, because I think it's just an exciting time. This is my favorite time of year. But get some more questions, Danny.
Yeah, Hunter Parrott said, I think Dre Greenlaw would be an amazing pickup. What do you guys think about Greenlaw as he was just released from the Broncos?
I think he was a guy that was sitting out there for a while last year. Or was it last year or the year before last? One of them. And they showed no interest in him. So like I kind of landed in the same place. He's dealt with some injury concerns, right? This is a Broncos team that prioritizes a lot of having stealthy defensive guys, and I think it says a lot for Vance Joseph and his company to move on from Dre Greenlaw and where he's at, and versus where they think they're going. And so, I don't know if I'm beating the bush. I think maybe a couple years ago, before he gets hurt, I am over the moon to land a Dre Greenlaw, but I don't feel the same anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be fine. I don't want to say worst case scenario, but you miss out on all the guys, and you really just want to get a quality veteran leader in there. I can be sold on it, but I'm not pounding the table for him.
Exactly.
Somebody was asking about the safety position. They asked, is there still room for the Bengals to go out and get somebody, or would you guys just consider bringing back Tyson Anderson to fill out the depth chart for the Bengals?
Man, it's not. We kind of talked about it a little bit before the show. I don't know if the Bengals will necessarily sign another safety. They should be in one on the draft, but I don't think the Bengals should rule out still signing another one, still drafting another one. The Bengals safety room right now is not very good. It's good at the top now with Battle and Cook, but that's it. That's literally it. You got Tyson Anderson, a free agent, DeJohn Anthony, who we haven't never really even seen play. So are you really going to pencil him into a spot? PJ Jules, that's your safety room right now. I'm not saying they need to go out there and sign another high impact quality starter, this or that, or go out there and spend a premium pick on one. But I think the opportunity for the Bengals to add depth at that position is still there. We talked about Jalen Davis being our starting slot corner. You can draft a safety that gives you that hybrid nickel safety flexibility. You can go out there and sign, just a back end roster guy to fill out the safety room. They need bodies at the safety position through and through. I don't think they should add a ton of resources to it at this point, but the room is still just two people at this point. Like it's definitely something they should consider still adding to. How they want to do that is up to them, but they definitely should still add a body or two, in my opinion.
For sure. We had somebody that asked about winners and losers. Were there any other teams that stood out to you guys as far as winners and losers from day one? I could say, I think the Jets, I don't know where to place them, but I think probably more the losers. And the reason why I say this, and maybe this is more tailored towards Aaron Glenn, it doesn't move me. I think that dude's gone. And I think that these moves are cool. Like Minka Fitzpatrick for, I don't know what it was. I think he's
7th and the extended.
It's fine. That's a good move. But at the end of the day, your offense is trash right now. And I just don't see this Jets team putting together a winning season this year or a shocking the league. I think that they're okay at that. These moves, Joseph Ossai is okay. Like my concern though is as a whole, this doesn't give me the Tennessee Titans hope with Cam Ward. This doesn't give me the Chicago Bears of last year. This gives me a team that is going to have another losing season, that's going to can their head coach, and is going to approach next year with 3 first-round picks, with 2 first-round picks this year, and say, now let's start our process. So that was just one this today. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out 2 teams on the loser side, and I don't necessarily call them losers yet, but they have some work to do. And just because of the number of players they've lost. The Philadelphia Eagles, first and foremost, you lose. You thought you're going to bring Jalen Phillips back. He doesn't come back. Reed Blankenship's gone. Maybe Jaylen Carter's gone. There's that edge room. While they have some fun names, there's no real guys. Yes, they can still. They're still. Maybe they land a Trey Hendrickson. Maybe they do some things like that. But they're starting to stack questions on a side of the ball that's really made them competitive for a long time. And continuing that theme is the Chiefs in general. Again, plenty of time to fix everything, but you've lost 3 starters in the secondary. Again, they can draft one at 9, they draft one at 29. There's plenty of solid guys to sign, but just putting yourself that far behind and creating so much turnover on one side of the ball, it's just a scary place to be. Good teams can navigate it, and these 2 organizations have shown that they're good for a reason. They're in the positions they're in for a reason consistently. But when you, again, so much turnover on one side of the ball, it just gets real scary for me real fast, and that's just not a situation I'd want to find myself in.
Somebody asked the question, Daniel, said, what would you say is today's most shocking overpay by a team? I think Carolina Panthers, Jaylen Phillips. I think that was probably the biggest shock for me, only because of the injury concerns and limited production just last year with the Eagles. And I know the Eagles really made a hard push to get him back, but I would say that was a little bit of shock. You guys got anyone?
In terms of an overpay, that's a tough part for me. I think I was not ready for Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flaw to get the money they got from the Titans.
Yes.
They're not bad players by any means, but that's clearly a bad team paying to get somebody in the building that they really, were high on. They're good players again, but they're just, it was not ready for that. And not really an overpay either. But Mike Evans to the 49ers really surprised me. Yeah. I don't really know how to feel about that, to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know how he fits there. I don't know.
I don't love it, to be honest. I just, and it's another team that consistently has injuries in their receiving core. So you add a guy who has been injured the last few years. Yeah. It's just, when he's playing, it's going to be great. But they already have nobody to throw the ball to because everybody's hurt. So why are we going to add somebody else that has been banged up? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, like I said, I think Travis Etienne was an interesting one. Charlie Kohler, and this is, I mean, it's not a lot, but $8 million per year to the Chargers is interesting.
They're blocking tight ends.
Chargers are a team that I'm a little concerned on, right? They lost Zion Johnson to the Cleveland Browns. Not the biggest thing, but
probable an overpay, probably something we should
discuss. That was I don't know the exact number he got, but that was one. And the Chargers are just a weird team that they've got cap space. They re-signed Khalil Mack, but that offensive line, I know that they're getting all healthy.
Slater healthy.
They just haven't done much. So I think I'm looking to them. Maybe they're just saying, hey, we got dealt a shitty hand this year with offensive line, and we're going to go take somebody in the draft, and we'll go from there. But they have not impressed me with their moves at all today.
Yeah, I think that a couple of highlights that I also want to bring up. One of the most underrated signings that I just want to make mention to and give respect to, I think Tyler Algier to the Arizona Cardinals was a very good underrated move by them. Tyler Algier was the red zone monster beginning of the season, large part for the Atlanta Falcons, and I was very impressed to see. Very happy for the Arizona Cardinals to see them land a guy like Tyler Algier, who I think can just do. I think he can do it all for the most part, and I think that guy's gonna do well there, especially because I think there's an open opportunity for him to take advantage. Guys, we've been live for an hour and a half. Does it feel like it?
No.
Right. And there's so much more to get into. Listen, keep it locked with us. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, please do us a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel, please. We don't do super chats and that. We just want you guys to subscribe to the channel, talk with us, talk ball with us. We'll be live again every single day for Free Agency Frenzy. Logan will be joining us on Wednesday and Friday. Me and Danny will be live every single day. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., Wednesday, 7 p.m., Thursday, 7 p.m., and Friday, 7 p.m. to break down all the news. And if there's any news that happens big pertaining to Cincinnati Bengals, I guarantee you, Daniel and I will be live front and center back here early in the wee hours of the morning or later tonight, depending on what that looks like, because we want to, again, provide 24-hour coverage to you guys as the news breaks, as it's happening, to get you guys real-time, real reactions to things as it's happening in the NFL world. want to thank you guys so much for tuning into the first episode of the Sit Down with Malik Wright Free Agency Frenzy Day 1. Again, let me know down in the comment section, guys, who you guys thought won free agency. Who are some big players that you guys think can still make some big moves? Who are some players that you guys think are being undervalued here? Maybe there's a player that a signing that happened that you think we talked about that you think we should have talked about. And somebody asked, do you think we'll be live again tonight? There's a good chance. There's a good chance that we might be live again tonight. That's what this week's about. This week is for you guys, and we appreciate it. Again, we only got 96 likes. We've over 300 people. I think the live got us up to close to 400 plus people. Only 96 likes. Let's get to 100 likes if we can, guys. We appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. We really, really, really do. Again, there's only one way you should be waking up talking sports, or coming home from work talking sports, enjoying the conversation, having your dinner with your family, and that is the right way. We will see you guys tomorrow, unless there's breaking news, big news that happens tonight on the Sit Down with Malik Wright's YouTube channel. Thank you.
This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now because